welcome to Venezuela Insider, the only place in Venezuela for expats, digital nomads, entrepreneurs, investors, travelers, and related internationals. For more information, venezuelainsider.com.
Welcome again to the new segment of Venezuela Insider. Today is December 8th of 2025. So we're going to discuss the most relevant news regarding Venezuela, of course, and the situation that we have right now. And the first news is, of course, regarding Trump. This case is a revival of the Monroe Doctrine, Trump style 2.0. And in case you don't know, the Monroe Doctrine is this particular, of course, doctrine established by former President Monroe around 200 years ago that established that the Americas, the whole continent, is for Americans only, without foreign powers meddling with America's interests. When it was originally established, it was referring to European powers, and today is mostly Russia and China. Now, what this particular document from the National Security Council established is first controlling the borders and migration. First, of course, controlling your own southern border for the U.S., but most importantly, relying on strategic partners, allies, key allies that the U.S. has right now in Latin America, like Argentina with Milei or El Salvador with Bukele, and several others, center right wing governments in Latin America, in order to first hold the migration throughout the border, but also creating the conditions that stopping further migration waves from countries in Latin America in the near future. And some of these countries are doing a great job, like, for instance, Bukele on El Salvador, not only halting their own populations, since there is an economic growth pretty important in El Salvador, for instance, and that is halting future migration from citizens and nationals of such country to the United States. Pretty cool. The other thing is focusing on drug uh, drug dealers and drug cartels and so on. In this particular case, we have to go back to Venezuela because according to the US, the Venezuelan government runs the biggest drug cartel in Latin America, and even they have been designated as a foreign terrorist organization. So nothing new. On that regard, the question mark is about what the US is going to do further in order to take action regarding such allegations, and well, we're in this right now. So basically, according to this new particular national security document, I'm sorry, according to this new National Security Council document, that, remember, right now the National Security Council is being run by Marco Rubio. He's not only the Secretary of State, but also the National Security Advisor, and also someone that is very important after Rubio on this new Monroe Doctrine is Stephen Miller, that he is the Deputy Chief of Staff from Trump, is very close. Trump trusts a lot on this young advisor since the first administration, and he also is heavily involved on applying such, let's say, new national security doctrine in the Americas. Okay, that's the first news. The second news comes from the Telegraph, this particular British publication. And according to them, and I don't know how trustworthy they are right now, is that Maduro, on this particular famous phone conversation with Trump and Marco Rubio, that we had a bunch of leaks and a bunch of, analysis and yada yada, since the past couple of weeks, arguably the most important news regarding the future situation in Venezuela. So, uh, apparently, according to the Telegraph, Maduro will be renouncing one of the, let's say, requirements for Maduro to renounce. It was receiving, clearing 200 million US dollars for, it's like, like the golden parachute for Maduro, in order to take exile in a friendly nation for him, like Turkey, Qatar, the Emirates, Russia, whatever may be the case. So this is according to the Telegraph. We don't have any official confirmation. It could be plausible, but no confirmation whatsoever. And if you ask me, I think the problem right now is not money, it's about, particular interest, conflict of interest with several groups, not only, of course, between the US government led by Trump and the Venezuelan authorities by Maduro, but also several people, not only within the Venezuelan government, but also people from abroad that has interest in Venezuela. That might be the main reason why we are halted on a particular change of a scenario or status quo that we have right now. Okay, going to another news, this time comes from the New York Times, but a similar narrative is going around on several media outlets. It's regarding the possibility that the Maduro successor in power will be the current vice president, Delcy Rodriguez. This comes first, of course, from the New York Times. Is pushing aggressively this particular narrative and speaking, very greatly about the current vice president, saying she's a moderate, quote unquote, and also that she somehow pull off an economic miracle in Venezuela, and also that she has good relationship with investors within the country and outside the country. So she could be like a reformist for the Venezuelan economy. This is a narrative pushed by the New York Times, and other media are not pushing, let's say, not they're not speaking, as positively as the New York Times regarding VP Rodriguez, but still with another angle, they are pushing this particular narrative. First, is possible? Well, I don't know exactly. Apparently, for every side right now involved on this current conflict, Maduro is seen as radioactive right now. And of course, also other side, on the other side, you have to see Trump that is taking actions military right now, nothing drastic, but he's moving troops and military assets and yada yada. So basically, right now the situation is not a, or it's not a if something will happen, is when it's going to happen, and most likely will be military related. So in order to appease Trump that he wants a regime change in Venezuela, let's call it like this, regardless if you like it or not, uh, that's, let's say, a chess move that putting VP Rodriguez as the president of Venezuela in order to maybe calm down Trump a little bit and dissuading Trump's military action. First, it was already proposed, allegedly, to the Trump's administration a couple of times, and it was a hard pass on the Trump administration, especially regarding Marco Rubio, that Marco Rubio is very well informed of every actor involved on the Venezuelan affair. So first, most likely won't happen, but yeah, you never know in these cases. Second thing is how reformist she can be. I have my doubts, honestly, but I cannot tell. At the end of the day, the future is unwritten, but I won't see much change on that regard. They go, these people go on the same line for certain interests. So I don't know how reformist can be, or the outcome for the Venezuelan economy and the Venezuelan people. I don't know how well it can be. For me, if you ask me right now, I would say it's more of the same that right now that we have with Maduro right now, but you never know. And lastly, the last news that I want to cover today is regarding the Nobel Peace Prize drama that we have right now. The opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, she received she's a laureate of the Nobel Peace Prize of this year, and the news was celebrated amongst Venezuelan people. It's barely the second Venezuelan national that is awarded with a Nobel Prize, the first Nobel Peace Prize. The issue is that this particular award will be delivered on Oslo at December 10th, just a few days later from this particular video. However, there is a talk that Maria Corina Machado should take receive the prize in person in Norway. However, the problem is that Maria Corina Machado is on hiding within Venezuela right now, and it's extremely dangerous for her to leave the country and receive the award because that she will be most likely apprehended by the Venezuelan police authorities from the Maduro's authorities. Anyway, several world leaders, mostly from Latin America, are confirming that they will be in Oslo with Maria Corina Machado receiving such award. People that household names like Javier Milei, Santiago Peña from Paraguay, also several congressmen from Florida, Maria Elvira Salazar, from Florida, Rick Scott, that already commented that he won't be able to assist, but he wants to, so he's an ally of Maria Corina Machado, and other, let's say, political celebrities in Latin America. Now, the drama is that apparently the prize will be received if a quote unquote regime change happened already. That apparently is not going to happen. I mean, we're just 48 hours away from from the price delivery, and we don't think that we're going to have such change on just 48 hours. Let's see what happens. And also there is an internal division between the Maria Corina Machado's supporters because they want to receive the prize when the quote unquote the Venezuelan right now Maduro's government leaves power and now comes the Maria Corina Machado's government. But that's not going to happen, at least not on December 10th. So we're going to see what happens. So thank you again. We'll see each other on the next video.
Thank you for watching Venezuela Insider. Please like, share, and subscribe. Follow us on social media. If you want to work with us, VenezuelaInsider.com. Thanks again and have a nice day.